A car accident sent me back to high school, where I saw Ethan leading a group of rich kids bullying Gu-jin. Ethan threw Gu-jin's textbooks into the lake, grabbed his collar, and laughed arrogantly. "Come on, bark like a dog and let's hear it." Who would have thought that this penniless teenager would one day become a business tycoon, bankrupt my family, and force me to become his golden cage bird? Given a second chance at life, I must stop Ethan from self-destruction while desperately trying to win over the vengeful Gu-jin. I was reborn and woke up to see Ethan bullying Gu-jin. Zhang Bachan, the spoiled son of a wealthy family, was a bully and certainly not a good person. Zhang Bachan threw Gu-jin's textbooks into the lake, grabbed his collar, and forced him to bark like a dog. The surrounding students laughed mockingly, but Gu-jin endured in silence. Until Zhang Bachan sneered, "Gu-jin, I heard your mother is a trash-picking fool. I wonder which man mistreated her to give birth to you. You're a filthy, disgusting bastard. Being around you makes me feel degraded." Suddenly, Gu-jin erupted like a mad dog, his eyes bulging with rage, and punched Ethan in the face. Ethan had trained in martial arts and had never lost a fight before, but he was caught off guard by Gu-jin. Gu-jin fought without any technique, relying solely on his sheer ferocity. He fought like a madman, terrifying Ethan's henchmen into staying back. Ethan quickly found himself at a disadvantage. I had just been reborn and was processing the scene before me. I rushed forward and grabbed Gu-jin's arm. "Stop fighting." In my memories, Gu-jin was always working out, and his arms were much stronger than those of a teenager. Every time he came to the villa to see me, I couldn't sleep, and even begging him to stop wouldn't work, it only made him angrier. Those memories were etched into my bones, and when our eyes met, I instinctively feared him. Gu-jin's body tensed up, but the ferocity on his face didn't fade completely before he finally stopped. His gaze shifted to my arm, and his dark eyes flinched. My pale arm bore several scars from my father's belt. Why was I beaten? I remembered now. It was because Gu-jin had scored first place, and I had fallen to second. My father had punished me. My father, Richard, believed in elite education and had extremely strict expectations for me and my brother. He wouldn't allow me to lose to a poor kid. Ethan therefore came to hate Gu-jin and led the bullying against him. In my previous life, although I had tried to stop my brother from doing this, I was still filled with resentment and unwillingness, and ultimately didn't intervene. So when Gu-jin sought revenge later, I also suffered punishment, becoming the object he used to vent his desires. I pulled down my sleeve to cover the wounds. Gu-jin silently jumped into the water to retrieve his textbook. On the other side, a crowd gathered around Zhang Bachan, fawning over him. Zhang Bachan held his bleeding nose, his anger boiling over, wanting to fight again. I stopped him, both heartbroken and angry. "Brother, stop now." "I can't stop now. Next time I'll find a chance to teach him a lesson." Zhang Bachan spat out a mouthful of blood and was escorted to the infirmary. I was about to follow him to the infirmary when I turned around and saw Gu-jin climbing out of the water. His face was injured, and his textbooks were soaked. He clenched his fists, his veins bulging on his arms, and water dripped from his body. A proper battle-scarred heartthrob. Why bother with this troublesome older brother? The most important thing now is to extinguish the small flame of hatred in Gu-jin's heart. I followed Gu-jin discreetly, confirmed his address, then ran to the pharmacy to buy some first-aid ointment and band-aids. I knocked on his door nervously. "Mrs. Liam opened the door and smiled, pulling me inside. "Have some dumplings." Liam's house was an old, run-down place, but it was simple and tidy. Gu-jin heard the noise and came out of the bathroom, wearing only a pair of jeans and no shirt. The teenager was tall and slender, with a layer of well-defined muscles from years of hard work, lean but not weak. "What are you doing here?" "This is for you." I pointed to his face. The wound needed to be treated. "No, you're not welcome here." Gu-jin grabbed the back of my collar and dragged me out. "Mrs. Liam grabbed my arm and insisted, "Eat the dumplings." My arm was hurting from Mrs. Liam's grip, and Gu-jin immediately let go of me, looking annoyed. "If you don't mind, Stay for dinner. Otherwise, my mom will keep complaining. I happily agreed, and Mrs. Liam went to the kitchen to serve the dumplings. Gu-jin got dressed, and the three of us sat down to eat. Many of the dumplings in the bowl had burst open, with leeks, eggs, and flour mixed together, looking unappetizing and a bit salty. I had always lived in luxury, and even after our family went bankrupt and I was forced to follow Gu-jin, he had never deprived me of material comforts. These dumplings were so unpalatable that I found them hard to swallow. Gu-jin, however, ate them with relish. Mrs. Liam stroked his head, her innocent face brimming with tenderness. Happy birthday, Xiao-jin. Grow up to be a good boy. The coldness in Gu-jin's eyes faded, and he looked at his mother with a gentle expression. I watched him and couldn't help but smile. If you don't like it, give it to me. Don't force yourself. My mother's mind is a bit confused, she didn't cook very well. I can eat it. I ate half a bowl but couldn't finish it, so I quietly pushed the bowl over. He ate it all, finishing it in just a few bites. At that moment, Gu-jin seemed easy to get along with, so I took the opportunity to say, Ethan was too much today. I'm apologizing to you on his behalf. Gu-jin's face turned cold. He's him, and you're you. It has nothing to do with you. So, Gu-jin is a person who keeps his grudges separate and won't take it out on me because of Ethan. But what exactly did Ethan do that was so outrageous to make Gu-jin hate the Ethan family so much? It wasn't enough that he made my family go bankrupt, but he also dragged my father and brother into lawsuits, leaving them deeply in debt and unable to make a living. And I was forced to be with him. Every time I interact with him, I can feel the intense hatred he harbors toward Ethan's family. The next morning, I got up early and placed the new textbooks in Gu-jin's desk drawer. As I turned around, I collided with a solid chest. The height difference meant I only reached his chest. Startled, I leaned backward, but the young man wrapped his arms around my waist. You're the top student and you're here this early? That's too competitive. I pushed him away nervously. I'll go study right now. I won't lose to you next time. Gu-jin grabbed the back of my collar and glanced at the textbooks. Thanks. No problem. I hurried away, touching my burning cheeks. Why was I blushing? He's just a little brother who hasn't grown up yet. I leaned on the desk. I wasn't blushing from shyness, I had a fever. Zhang Bachin is going to mess with Gu-jin again, tricking his silly mom into coming to school to pick up trash. What does Gu-jin's silly mom look like? Let's go check it out. I ran out and saw a crowd gathered near the snack shop. Zhang Bachin smashed a soda bottle at Mrs. Liam's feet. Trash collector, pick it up. Mrs. Liam huddled in fear, trembling, and made muffled sounds. When I arrived, I smelled a strong urine odor. Ha ha ha. Chingu, you scared her to pee herself. What bad luck. Zhang Bachin threw another soda bottle at Mrs. Liam's feet, shattering the glass. Brother! Stop! I rushed to Mrs. Liam's side. She was still leaking urine. A crowd had gathered around to watch the spectacle. I took off my jacket, tied it around her waist, and pulled her hand. Mrs. Liam, don't be afraid. I'll take you. Gu-jin rushed out and kicked Zhang Bachin in the lower back. Zhang Bachin fell onto the broken glass. Gu-jin's kick was brutal, and Zhang Bachin couldn't get up for a moment. He wasn't a cowardly person, he had been holding back all this time just to study. On the contrary, Gu-jin's personality was actually a bit crazy. I remember once when I went to a cocktail party with him, someone made a lewd remark to me, and he flew into a rage, breaking the man's ribs. At that moment, Gu-jin's eyes were bloodshot, and he exuded the ruthless aura of a desperate man. He picked up a broken bottle and walked toward Zhang Bachin. Zhang Bachin was terrified. What are you doing? What are you all standing there for? He's gone mad. Help me stop him. No one dared to stop a madman who didn't care about his life. I was also afraid of him, but I had to stop him. I rushed forward, tightly hugged his waist, and buried my face in his chest. Gujin, don't. His muscles were tense, and his breathing was heavy. I cried, don't do anything stupid. Take your mother home. I stroked his back, trying to calm his raging soul. Clatter! Gujin finally dropped the glass, blood dripping from his palm. I watched him help his mother walk away until they were out of sight. In the previous life, none of this happened. Bro. Zhang Bachan pushed me away, his eyes dark and menacing. He's finished. My heart sank. I had clearly stopped Ethan from doing something reckless twice, yet I had an ominous feeling. Our fate hadn't changed, it was still sliding toward its predetermined ending. I knocked on Liam's door. He was wearing rubber gloves, washing my jacket. Mrs. Liam was asleep inside. I grabbed his wrist, removed the gloves, and saw his hand wrapped in simple bandages, still bleeding. Are you a masochist? Your hands are like this, and you're still washing clothes. The world spun, and I collapsed into his arms, fainting. When I woke up, it was already dusk. The hospital room was dark. Gujin sat by the bed, his rough palm resting on my forehead. My mind was spinning, and I thought I was reborn. Gujin hated the Ethan family and only saw me as a plaything, using me to humiliate his father and brothers. But every time I was sick, Gujin would be especially gentle with me, patiently feeding me medicine and food, like a mother. Patients are always spoiled. So I wrapped my arms around his neck and whined, I feel so bad, hold me. After a long while, his voice hoarse, he said, Emily, I'm Gujin. Then, I snapped back to reality and let go of him, feeling so embarrassed my toes curled up. I had mistaken the young Gujin for the older Gujin. Gujin turned on the light. Thinking about how I had just used such a soft, pleading voice to act spoiled toward a teenager I wasn't even that close to, I didn't know where to put my face. Gujin remained expressionless, but his ears were red enough to bleed. In our previous life, no matter how intense our arguments were, he never showed any emotion. The only way to tell if he was happy was by how red his ears were. I covered my face. What are you thinking about? Don't think about that. All right, I won't. After my fever broke, I rested at home for half a day and went to school in the afternoon. As soon as I walked into the classroom, my desk mate Olivia started gossiping with me. That guy you hate, Gujin, got caught stealing class fees. Her one sentence contained two rumors. First, I didn't hate him, I wanted to get close to him. Second, Gujin wouldn't steal money. I remembered that in my previous life, there was an incident where Gujin stole class fees. At that time, I went to the teacher's office to hand in my homework. His homeroom teacher slammed the desk. Gujin, you've really disappointed me. I know your family is poor, but you can't steal money. You have talent but no morality, you'll be a menace to society. A girl beside him, who was probably their class life committee member, chimed in, exactly, if you're short on money, you could have told us, we could have donated money to help you. You really didn't need to steal. Gujin stood straight, his thin lips tightly pursed, his face filled with contempt and indifference. I despised him in my heart. What good was it to score better than me if you had no character? Suddenly, Gujin saw me, and his expression changed drastically. He rushed toward me. No, that's not it. I didn't steal. I didn't want to deal with him and turned to leave. Gujin went crazy, grabbing my arm with great force. My arm was still injured, and I struggled, whether you stole it or not is none of my business. Let go of me. The teacher came over to pull him away. But he held on tighter, refusing to let go. Gujin had fallen into a state of obsession. He stared at me intently, his eyes reddening. What does Emily want me to do for you to believe me? I really didn't steal the money. I didn't understand. Why was Gujin so obsessed with making me believe him? I didn't even know him well. I was about to cry from fear and said timidly, I believe you. Let go, you're hurting me. Finally, he let go. In the previous life, Gu Jin was given a warning. Recalling Gu Jin's almost desperate gaze at the time, my heart ached. I immediately went to find Gu Jin and encountered my unfortunate older brother in the hallway. Zhang Bachan was hugging a girl, who was the class representative of Liam's class. Huan, this is your new sister-in-law. After Zhang Bachan left, I smiled at the girl. Quick, tell me how you helped Ethan frame Gu Jin. The girl wanted to flatter me and said proudly, I put the class fund in his desk drawer and then pretended it was missing. We searched everyone's desk drawers and caught him red-handed. Sure enough, Gu Jin had been framed by Ethan. I took out my phone and waved it at the girl. I recorded it just now. You have 10 minutes to confess to the teacher. Otherwise, I'll take the recording to the broadcast station and play it on loop. Your brother told you to do this. Why are you helping an outsider? I imitated Mr. Liam's expression and said coldly, you have 9 minutes and 40 seconds left. The girl looked panicked and ran toward the teacher's office. Actually, I didn't record anything earlier. I was just bluffing her. By the second break, the news had spread. Liam's class monitor went to the teacher and said they found the class fund. The money in Gu Jin's desk drawer was his own, and it was a misunderstanding. Zhang Bachan called me to the rooftop. Emily, are you crazy? If he hadn't stolen your first place, would your dad have beaten you? I helped you get revenge, and you're siding with him. I sighed. My dad beating me is his own issue. What does Gu Jin have to do with it? You're the one who framed him for stealing money. I handled this to protect you. Zhang Bachan, don't bully the weak. If you bully him now, he'll come back to haunt us later. Zhang Bachan looked unconvinced. With him? At this point, Zhang Bachan wanted to torment Gu Jin, not just to vent his anger for me. Violence is like an addiction. Once you start, there are no limits. Give me your phone. Zhang Bachan took my phone, threw it against the wall, and stomped on it twice. Next time I deal with him, don't interfere. In my previous life, I dropped out of high school and went abroad to study. So, I didn't know how Zhang Bachan had schemed against Gu Jin afterward. The wall of the rooftop was curved, obstructing the view. After Zhang Bachan left, Gu Jin emerged from the other side of the rooftop. I froze. Had he heard everything? Gu Jin rolled up my sleeve, and the higher he rolled, the more scars were revealed. My skin was pale, making the scars look even more gruesome. Are there any other injuries on your body besides your arms? He only hit my arms. I need to dance, and my father doesn't want others to see. I looked into Gu Jin's eyes. His eyes were red, and there were tears in the corners. Big guy, you're not going to cry, are you? Then, Gu Jin pressed my head into his chest and hugged me. Does your father often hit you? I avoided his question and spoke firmly. The person I am now is no longer the person I was before. If he hits me, I will fight back. I'll call the police or tell the elders in the clan, and he won't dare to do it anymore. When I was young, I dared not resist, afraid that if I did, my father would abandon me. But now, my soul is 28 years old. I no longer fear patriarchy and know how to fight back. There's also a third option. The tears of a teenager fell on my neck, enough to shock me for 100 years. And told me to beat him up. Hitting someone is against the law. Then so be it. I smiled, stroking his back, moved by the passion of a teenager. Gu Jin picked up the broken phone. I'll fix it for you. Can you fix it even though it's broken like this? Yeah. After school, Gu Jin and I went home together. He took out his toolbox and fixed my phone for me. He had all the parts he needed. He soldered the circuit board and even replaced the screen with a new one. You're so skilled. This isn't hard. I learned phone repair to make money. Gu Jin has to work to support his family besides going to school. How much should I pay you, Liam? I won't take your money. Then I'll invite you to watch me dance. I'm participating in a dance competition next Saturday. Will you come? Sure. The dance competition was held at the Opera House. To my surprise, I saw Alexander in the front row of the audience. In my previous life, we met at a dinner gathering between our families. In this life, our first encounter came earlier, and the setting had changed. Memories from my previous life flooded back. At 18, Alexander loved me deeply and followed me abroad to study. He pursued me romantically for a year, and we naturally ended up together. But good things don't last. In our third year together, he cheated on me. When I confronted him, he said, "I just can't love only you. I still love you. Mrs. Cheen will always be you. What are you still arguing about?" I broke up with him decisively, treating those 3 years of my youth as wasted. Seeing 18-year-old Alexander again made me feel physically ill, with cold hands and feet. Gu Jin held me up, followed my gaze, asked no questions, and led me backstage. Gu Jin poured me a cup of hot water. "Are you feeling better?" "Yes, I'm fine now." "Go sit in the audience, I'm about to go on stage." I changed into my dance costume and walked onto the stage. Gu Jin was sitting in the back row, hidden in the shadows, but I spotted him immediately. I smiled at him, feeling inexplicably at ease. Dance, I thought. I want to win. The music began, and I forgot all the entanglements of my past life, immersing myself in the world of dance, showcasing my beauty. As the dance ended, thunderous applause erupted. The chandeliers in the opera house lit up, and I looked at Gu Jin, gazing at him from afar with tear-filled eyes. Gu Jin froze, furrowing his brows as he looked at me. The audience thought I was crying because I was so immersed in the dance and moved by the story of the music. But in truth, I was crying because I was happy. This dance was for Gu Jin. I wanted him to see how beautiful I was in my youth. In my previous life, he never saw it once. What a waste! After finishing the dance, I was still excited. I heard the obsession buried deep in my heart. Gu Jin, how could you not love me? I don't want to be your canary. I don't want to be the little toy you use to satisfy your physical desires. I want to be your white moonlight, making you admire me, love me, yet unable to touch me. I also want to be the demon who seduces you, possessing all your desires, making you unable to leave me. Never able to leave me. After being reborn, I truly wanted to stop Zhang Bachan from self-destructing, and I truly wanted to protect Gu Jin. But I'm a ghost. I made a wish to the gods to dispel the unresolved feelings in my heart. What the soul beneath this teenage body truly desires is to obtain everything from my lover from my previous life. I won first place. Alexander, as the sponsor's representative, came up to present me with the award. "You're heroine, right?" Zhang Bo's father recently approached my father for an investment, so our two families will have more dealings in the future. Alexander took out his phone, determined to get it. "Would you mind giving me your phone number?" "Scum, back off! Back off! Back off! It's inconvenient. I don't want to know you." I saw Gu Jin walk to the edge of the stage. I acted like a madwoman and jumped off the stage. Gu Jin's eyes widened in panic, but he caught me steadily. I wrapped my arms around his neck. Big shot. Did I dance well? His heart was pounding like a drum, his ears were red as blood, and he stared at me without blinking. "You looked great." My dance costume was a backless dress made of sheer fabric that highlighted my figure. Gu Jin took off his black hoodie and put it on me, pulling the zipper up high, almost choking me. "Me?" Gu Jin looked at Alexander on stage, tilted his head slightly, and his eyes were fierce and wild, like a little wolf dog. On the way back, I was in an excited state. "Juan, let me treat you to dinner to celebrate your award." "Sure. What do you want to eat?" "Grilled meat." "Bring Mrs. Liam along." The three of us sat at the grill restaurant. Gu Jin was busy grilling meat and feeding me and his mother. Under the table, my knees were pressed against his. Gu Jin's ears grew redder, and he looked at me thoughtfully. I wrapped a large piece of pork belly in lettuce, stuffing my mouth like a little hamster, looking innocent and naive. Mrs. Liam ate gracefully. Her eyebrows and eyes suggested she was a beauty in her youth. No wonder she gave birth to such a handsome son like Eugene. Mrs. Liam, do you remember who I am? Mrs. Liam smiled shyly and said seriously, "You're Eugene's wife." Cough cough. Married on the spot? Xiao Jean really likes you. Mrs. Liam said, taking out a ring and putting it on my finger. My Xiao Jean is a stubborn child. Once he likes someone, he'll never change his mind. You two should live happily together. I looked at the large plastic ring on my ring finger. Is this a toy for kids? Mom, she's not my wife. She's my classmate, Emily. Eugene looked up at me, cleared his throat, and said, "Don't mind her. My mom was just speaking her mind." I took a tactical sip of water. Mrs. Liam is so cute. Suddenly, I remembered that Mrs. Liam had passed away at a young age and reminded him, as people get older, their health can decline. You should take Mrs. Liam for regular checkups. Eugene listened and nodded in agreement. My twin brother and I are dragon and phoenix twins, and we celebrate our birthdays together every year. Zhang Bachan hosted a birthday party and invited a group of friends over. I wore a beautiful dress and applied light makeup. As I entered the private room, I saw Alexander. Zhang Bachan placed his arm around Alexander's shoulder. Juan, Mr. Alexander arranged this birthday party for you. Do you like it? The room was filled with roses, decorated in a dreamy and romantic style. Alexander walked up to me with a beautiful jewelry box. Juan, happy birthday. This is your gift. Open it and take a look. If I had known he was coming, I wouldn't have come. Bad luck. Everyone cheered and clapped. The atmosphere was lively and ambiguous. I was about to pick up the fruit wine on the table and pour it on him. At that moment, Eugene walked in holding a fruit platter. Turns out Eugene was working here. Zhang Bachan had deliberately chosen this place to host the birthday party, continuing to push the boundaries of self-destruction. Hey, isn't that Gu the genius? Working as a waiter here? The wealthy second-generation kids around us laughed mockingly, acting like superior bystanders. How much can you make in a day serving plates? Zhang Bachan pulled out a stack of $100 bills and threw them on Eugene, saying, "Today is my birthday. Make me happy, and all this money is yours." My fists clenched, and I laughed angrily. That's not possible. I'm very satisfied with him. He's mine tonight. Amidst the stunned expressions of the crowd, I grabbed Eugene's hand and stormed out to the lobby. Ethan, you're brain dead. Don't take it to heart. I patted his shoulder. You look pretty sharp in a suit, with those broad shoulders, narrow waist, and long legs. You've got a touch of Mr. Liam's refined yet debauched charm. All right, go back to work. I'm leaving. Eugene grabbed my wrist, pulled off his bow tie, and bent down to smile at me. That smile was so cute, like a duck. Juan, tonight I'm yours. Me? He's serious? I thought Eugene would pull some tricks, but instead he took me grocery shopping and cooked dinner for me. Why do you look so disappointed? This table full of high-end ingredients cost him $1,000. Even by today's standards, spending $1,000 on a meal is still quite luxurious. I picked the freshest piece of meat from the East Star Grouper and gave it to Mrs. Liam. I just think you sold yourself short. I'm happy to. After dinner, Eugene brought out the cake and carefully lit the candles. Mrs. Liam clapped her hands like a child. Happy birthday, daughter-in-law. Early. Eugene quickly covered Mrs. Liam's mouth. Make a wish. Have a son soon? Mrs. Liam, you're something else. I closed my eyes and made a wish. He said, Emily, happy 18th birthday. I wished, every year from now on, Eugene will spend his birthday with Emily. The next day, I heard that Central High and Elmwood High were going to hold a basketball-friendly match. Gu Jin participated. So, I signed up for the cheerleading squad. Olivia was in charge of organizing the cheerleading squad, and she prepared cheerleading uniforms that were super short skirts paired with tight-fitting short-sleeve tops. When we got on the bus, the players were all buzzing with excitement. I saw that the seat next to Gu Jin was empty, so I sat down beside him. Gu Jin was wearing headphones, leaning back in his seat with his eyes closed. His jawline was smooth, his Adam's apple prominent, and he was wearing a basketball jersey that showed off his muscular arms. He had a sexy, boyish charm. I tapped his hand and asked, "Can I borrow one of your earbuds?" Gu Jin opened his eyes and looked at me, his gaze lingering on my chest for a moment before quickly looking away. He took off his headphones and handed them to me. I leaned close to his ear and teased, "You're going for the spicy girl look today. Do you like it?" Gu Jin closed his eyes, ignoring me, but his ears turned red. The familiar jazz music played, his taste unchanged over the years. In the lazy melody, memories flooded back. In the villa, the man held me tightly and kissed me passionately. "How are you feeling today?" Gu Jin touched the back of my neck. "Not bad." "Can I ask you for a favor?" "Go ahead." Ethan was betrayed by a friend and owes $3 million in high-interest loans. Because of this, my father fell ill. "Can you help Ethan?" Gu Jin's expression turned cold instantly. He let go of me, stood up, and began dressing. Seeing him about to leave, I got up barefoot. "Ethan bullied you, he was in the wrong. You've already taken your revenge, can't you spare him a chance to live?" Gu Jin picked me up in his arms, sighing wearily, "Huan, for you, I've already given them a way out." The man kissed away my tears. "Don't cry, it's only $3 million. This won't happen again." I was happy and took the initiative for once. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, Gu Jin wasn't by my side. I went downstairs in my pajamas and found Gu Jin sitting in the living room drinking. The vast living room made him seem even more lonely. Gu Jin's face was filled with hatred and pain. He clenched the wine glass tightly, his veins bulging on his hands. With a crisp sound, the glass shattered, and his hand began to bleed. He didn't flinch, as if he had found an outlet for his pain. He picked up the shards of glass and cut his arm. So helping Ethan had caused him so much pain. I covered my mouth and hid behind the stair railing, tears streaming down my face. "Are you feeling car sick?" I snapped back to reality and met the teenager's concerned gaze. My face must have been pale. Gu Jin twisted open a bottle of mineral water and handed it to me. "If you're really feeling unwell, lean on my shoulder." I leaned against his shoulder, and the knot in my heart quickly dissolved. Elmwood High was an elite school, and the basketball court facilities were top-notch. The venue was packed with students, and as the host school, Elmwood High had a significant home court advantage. Alexander was the captain of the Elmwood High basketball team and also the school heartthrob. The girls in the arena were all shouting his name. Alexander saw me and ran over. Huan, you look so beautiful today." "Don't call me Huan. We're not close." Alexander grabbed my arm. "Do you have a misunderstanding about me?" Gu Jin pried Alexander's hand off and said coldly, "Don't touch girls." "She said she doesn't know you." Alexander's face turned pale, and he walked away. Before the game started, the cheerleading squad took the field to perform their routine. "Who's the girl leading the cheerleading squad for Central High?" "She's so beautiful." "She's Emily, the school beauty of Central High." "She's so cute." "Ah, she looked at me." "Huan, my little brother loves you." After I finished the cheerleading routine and stepped off the field, Gu Jin and his team took the stage. As we passed each other, I said to Gu Jin, "Good luck." Olivia exclaimed excitedly, "Everyone was mesmerized by you during the cheerleading routine." "Did you see?" The girls from Jeon's cheerleading squad were so jealous they could burst. I looked over at Jeon's cheerleading squad, and sure enough, those girls were glaring at me with malicious eyes. I didn't pay much attention and focused on watching Gu Jin play basketball. Wow, Is Gu Jin that good? His playing style is so aggressive. Alexander can't even touch the ball. He has such great stamina. I just noticed today how handsome Gu Jin is. I listened to others praise Gu Jin and felt proud inside. He's just so outstanding. The game ended, and we won. Gu Jin became the top scorer of the game. His teammates surrounded him, treating him like a hero. The boy I love should be this dazzling. I really wanted to run up to him, hug him tightly, and kiss him passionately. We ran out of water, so Olivia called me to go buy some. As we walked to the convenience store, we were surrounded by the girls from the Elmwood High cheerleading squad. Emily, you're pretty proud of yourself today, aren't you? I shielded Liv behind me. Get out of the way, you dogs. They pushed me to the ground, and the leader poured milk on my face. Look at you, you slut. You even seduced Qin Shueshang. Dare to call us dogs? Come on, bark like a dog. I froze, thinking of Gu Jin. So this is what it feels like to be bullied: shame, anger, helplessness. The girl raised her hand to slap me. A slender hand grabbed her wrist. Gu Jin's eyes turned red, but he restrained himself, shoving the girl away. Get out. The girls were scared off. My chest was soaked with milk, and some of my underwear was exposed. Gu Jin took off his jersey and put it on me. Can you stand up? Yeah. Gu Jin helped me stand up, clenching his teeth and muttering a curse. I mimicked him and cursed as well. Gu Jin froze, then finally smiled. He went to buy water and a towel, gently wiping my face and hair. Olivia stood there dumbfounded, her face frozen in shock. Back in the classroom, Olivia fired off 3 questions in a row. Don't you hate Gu Jin? When did you two become so close? Is the way he looks at you what I think it is? I zeroed in on the key point. What was the look in his eyes? Hot cheese. Me? It was stringy. I curled my lips upward, but the look I gave him wasn't exactly innocent either. When I got home, I saw Alexander and his parents. In my previous life, we had only just met today. During the meal, when we mentioned that I was planning to attend the Berklee College of Music, Alexander immediately said he also had plans to study abroad. In my previous life, I had already experienced studying abroad, so there was no need to go again. In this life, I wanted to go to college with Gu Jin. After the Qin family left, I started to persuade Richard. Dad, many people in China don't know about famous foreign universities. If you go abroad without taking the college entrance exam, people will think you got in because of money. It would be more prestigious to get into Harvard and MIT. Richard values face the most. After pondering for a moment, he said, if you can really get into Harvard and MIT, then go study there. After all, Harvard and MIT aren't bad. However, a rumor spread at school that the school heartthrob from Elmwood High was pursuing the school beauty from Central High, and he wanted to study abroad in the US with me. I didn't bother with Alexander. Let him study abroad on his own. My attention was entirely on Gu Jin. During the summer vacation of his senior year, Gu Jin started his first business venture. He used the money he had saved from working part-time over the years to set up an electronics factory, hired 7 or 8 workers, and took on outsourcing orders for refurbishing mobile phones. This was the same era as the movie The Miracle of the Stupid Kid, when smartphones had not yet become widespread, and affordable refurbished phones had a good market. Every era has its own opportunities, and Gu Jin had a keen business sense. He also caught the wave of the internet boom and became a business tycoon in just a few years. Gu Jin landed a big order that would net him 200,000 yuan upon completion. He worked overtime with his workers. Even after the workers had gone home, he stayed behind, working until his eyes were bloodshot. Gu Jin, take a break. Don't overwork yourself. Heroine, I'm really so poor. I want to make money, lots and lots of money. Money can be earned slowly. He looked at me with a deep, enigmatic expression. No, we can't afford to be slow anymore. I felt so sorry for him. He must have endured so much hardship along the way. I raised my hand and touched the back of the young man's neck. Gu-jin, one day, you will achieve great success, and you will get everything you desire. So, don't push yourself too hard, okay? Okay. Although Gu-jin agreed with me, he continued to work late into the night. Finally, Gu-jin completed the order on time. On the day of delivery, Gu-jin called me. Yi-hwan. I'll have money. I'll become someone worthy of you. Gu-jin's voice trembled with tears, yet he spoke with unwavering resolve. Yi-hwan, please wait for me a little longer. Please? For some reason, I suddenly recalled the scene from my previous life when I went to school for the last time. After finishing my errands, I walked out. It was raining heavily at the time. Suddenly, Gu-jin ran out into the rain. Are you leaving? Yeah. I gripped my backpack tightly, afraid he'd lose his temper again. Will you come back? Perhaps because I was about to leave my hometown, I felt a bit more melancholy and treated him a little better. I walked closer to him and held the umbrella for him. Under the umbrella, I looked up at him. Drops of water trickled down his chin. His expression was indifferent, but his eyes were filled with sorrow. Of course I'll come back. Years. How many years will you be gone? 3 years, 5 years, who knows? At that moment, Zheng Qinbo called out to me, Huan Huan, why are you wasting your breath on this crazy guy? Let's go. I gave Gu-jin a quick smile and shoved the umbrella into his hands. Gu-jin, good luck on your college entrance exams. Goodbye. The memory abruptly ended. A thought flashed through my mind, perhaps in a previous life, Gu-jin had once liked me? That's why he was so determined to keep my trust when he was falsely accused of stealing money. That's why he looked so sad when I went abroad to study. And at that time, influenced by Ethan, I really hated him. Thinking about the recent rumor at school that I'm going abroad to study with Alexander, was there something similar in my previous life? So from his perspective, I'm going abroad to study with someone I like? Gu-jin, so you worked so hard to make money, besides wanting to give Mrs. Liam a better life, was it also because of me? Because my family is wealthy, you felt inferior and thought you had to earn a lot of money to deserve me? There was silence on the other end of the phone. I pressed him, Gu-jin, answer me. Yes. I smiled, my eyes teary, fool, I'm not going to study abroad with Alexander. I'm not going anymore. This time, let's apply to Harvard and MIT together. After saying that, I quickly hung up the phone, my heart pounding like a drum, my cheeks burning. Regardless, this counts as me confessing first. I went downstairs to drink some iced water to calm down. Xiaoqin, I heard that a guy named Gu-jin took your family's order. I want to ask you to cancel it. Ha ha ha, okay, let's talk about that project you mentioned last time. My father hung up the phone, and Ethan said triumphantly, Dad, you're the one with the connections. This time, Dad helped you get revenge. Learn from him. Only barbarians solve problems with violence. I clenched my fists, never expecting my father to help Ethan deal with a high school student. I quietly went upstairs and called Gu-jin, but the phone was already disconnected. When I rushed to the factory, Gu-jin wasn't there. Misfortune never comes alone. Just at that moment, Mrs. Liam had an accident. She fell and suffered a severe head injury, requiring 100,000 yuan for surgery. So, in my previous life, my father and Ethan sabotaged Gu-jin's deal, leaving him unable to pay for the surgery and causing Mrs. Liam's death. No wonder Gu-jin hates the Ethan family so much. No wonder he was so tormented when I asked him to give 3 million to help Ethan pay off his high-interest loans. Back then, it was my father and brother who left him unable to come up with 100,000, forcing him to watch his mother die in the hospital bed. This time is different. This time he has me. I will turn this around and change everything. I rushed to the hospital the workers mentioned and saw Gu-jin at the payment counter, calling Chin Boss. Chin Boss, my goods passed all inspections. Why are you breaking the contract? The other party can get greater benefits from my father, so their words must be harsh. Gu Jin furrowed his brows. At that moment, he was willing to kneel before anyone. Just give me 100,000 yuan, and you can take all the goods. Despite his concession, Chen Boss hung up the phone. My mother passed away when I was very young. She left me an inheritance, which I could freely dispose of once I turned 18. I paid Mrs. Liam's surgery fees. Gu Jin watched me pay the money without saying a word. Outside the operating room, Gu Jin stood there looking exhausted. Yi Huan, thank you. I'll repay this money as soon as possible. I hugged him tightly and stroked his back. Xiao Jin, don't be afraid. Mrs. Liam will be okay. Gu Jin froze, then hugged me and buried his face in the crook of my neck. He was trembling uncontrollably. He was truly afraid that his mother would die. In his previous life, he had to face all of this alone. How despairing that must have been. 7 hours later, the surgery ended, and the doctor said, the surgery was successful, the patient is out of danger. A huge weight lifted from my heart. In this life, there was no blood feud between us. He could finally love me properly. Years passed, and I became Mrs. Gu. After Mrs. Liam recovered, I told Gu Jin about what my father and brother had done. Gu Jin worked hard, visiting many companies, and finally sold that batch of goods. I was completely disappointed in my father and brother and chose to live in the dormitory. When the college entrance exam results came out, Gu Jin and I both got into Harvard and MIT. Gu Jin followed the same path as in the previous life and became a business tycoon. We became the envy of our classmates, going from school uniforms to wedding dresses. Olivia teased my twin sons, joking, Huan, how did you get pregnant again? Are you the type that Mr. Liam can get you pregnant just by looking at you? Actually, he was afraid I'd be in pain, so he didn't want me to have a second child. But I really wanted a daughter, so I used a little trick, hee hee. Olivia gave me a thumbs up, can you believe it? The soft and innocent Zhang school flower from high school is so wild after marriage. That's right. Living 2 lifetimes wasn't for nothing. Stay over tonight. Let's sleep together. Olivia crossed her arms and refused, no way. Last time I slept with you for 1 night, Mr. Liam looked at me like he wanted to kill me. I laughed, Mr. Liam is just a bit clingy. After my best friend left, my mother-in-law returned on her tricycle. All these years, my mother-in-law has always loved picking up trash, with aluminum cans and cardboard boxes being her favorites. I didn't feel at ease leaving her alone, so I hired someone to accompany her. Today she had a good haul and was crushing cans in the villa's courtyard. My 3-year-old twin sons loved crushing cans, and my mother-in-law and the kids were having a blast. I offered to help, but she immediately stopped me, pointing to my stomach. There's a baby inside, the daughter-in-law should rest. My mother-in-law's mindset was like that of a 6 or 7-year-old child. She could play with the kids just as well as they could. I sat on a recliner, watching them play happily, feeling a sense of contentment and peace. The doorbell rang. My father and Ethan had arrived. Recently, the Zhang family had been struggling financially due to poor management, and their cash flow had dried up. They had come to demand money. I had already given them all the inheritance my mother had left me, but it was like trying to plug a hole with a cup of water. It wasn't enough to cover the massive deficit. Upon seeing them, I immediately asked the nanny to take my mother-in-law and the children inside. Richard complained, I came to see my grandson. As soon as I arrived, you had the children taken away. What does that mean? If you had only come to see the children, of course I would have let you. I've given you all my money. If you're here to ask for more, there's not a single penny left. My father, Richard, believes in elite education and has always been strict with my brother and me. He wouldn't allow me to be outdone by a poor boy. He doesn't owe you anything. Back then, you ruined his plans, leaving him unable to pay for the surgery. You almost killed his mother. Why should he help you? He's already killed once. Seeing my emotional state, my father and brother feared I might harm the fetus and left. I was filled with hatred, anger, and sorrow, silently shedding tears. Juan, why are you crying? Gu Jin returned, knelt before me, and wiped my tears. Did the baby upset you? I pouted and hugged his neck. No, I just suddenly missed you so much. Gu Jin sighed and said seriously, then I'll take paternity leave. I don't want to go to work for a single day. I burst into laughter. Gu Jin is so smart, he can't hide anything from him. That night, Ethan sent me a message. Juan, Gu Jin said he'll help us this time, but it's the last time. Juan, I know I was wrong back then. Everyone says Gu Jin is tough and has a hard heart. But when I cry, he softens. Gu Jin brought me a cup of hot milk from downstairs, watching me drink it with a loving expression, just like a doting father. Husband, when did you start liking me? At the high school opening ceremony, you gave a speech as the new student representative. Wife, I fell in love with you at first sight. It turns out that in both lifetimes, he has always loved me. Only me.